is Henry and I am going to be my dad's assistant for today's video.
Well done, Henry. Hi everybody, and welcome to our first YouTube download. Now, I'm not sure about the quality of this, how it's going to be. It's going to be completely unedited, recorded on a smartphone, an HTC, and pretty much unscripted, if I'm honest.
5 minutes gone.
There are a few. Oh, Henry, as just mentioned, is going to be timekeeper, but have the watch the right way round, Henry.
Yeah.
That's better. So, it's only a couple of minutes gone. Because as I understand it, we can only do a 15-minute clip. So, anyway, apologies if it's terrible, as it might well be. If it is, this may well be the one and only video we do. If it's okay, and if you're watching this, I think we'll have agreed between ourselves that it's okay, and we've already downloaded it. So, if you like it, if you want to see more, I've got loads more guns, loads more tips and tricks to share with you if you're interested. So feel free to comment, and let's, quite right, Henry, let's crack on. So, what have we got today? As the title suggested, it's an AK with a high-speed gearbox in it.
By the way, he has built this.
Indeed, I have. This is my own personal gun, but if you know, most of the guns built for other people are built to this spec or very similar. This one is an LCT AK. LCT I tend to stick with because they're just really good quality. Externally, the internals are fine, although with most of my builds I do end up internally swapping everything anyway.
It does make lots of guns.
I do, don't I?
That we will show in other videos.
So, if you're interested in the detail of a high-speed gun, this is basically what I've been using for many years in the parts list, is as follows. The gearbox is a Lone X Ultimate 8mm gearbox. Lone X or ASG Ultimate, depending on where you're buying it from. If you're buying it from the UK, you're more than likely marked as an ASG Ultimate, and if you're buying it from Hong Kong, it'll be marked up as a branded Lone X. Same thing, it's just a branding issue. Spring, I always stick with Garda springs. They're very, very consistent and very rarely break. Spring guide, SHS, bearing spring guide, anything really which is steel with the bearing on will do. Not particularly bothered about that. Piston SHS, lightweight one. I tend to use these ones, full metal rack. Again, these have been very reliable, never had one fail. And piston head is normally stick with all Lone X. Piston head, cylinder, jet nozzle, but basically all the compression parts. If you stick with the same manufacturer, you can't really go wrong. They're all made to work with each other, so try not to chop and change when you're dealing with that. Gears, I've been using SHS gears really since they first appeared on the market, and I've never had any trouble with any of the generations. I know some people say, oh, the Gen 2s are rubbish and this, that and the other, but I've used all of them. I've never had them fail for any other reason than occasionally if they've been, you know, shimmed slightly off, then you can have a failure, but that isn't, you know, a problem with the gears. That's a problem with the assembly, if you like. So yeah, fantastic gears, incredibly cheap for the quality that you get.
He's very detailed.
I'm so, yeah, well, you know, you have to be, don't you? Tappet plate, I tend to go with Garda. I always have used Garda tappet plates. They're very stiff and they very rarely break, and I think on a high speed setup you do benefit from the tappet plate being, you know, hard plastic rather than the flexible type that you tend to get from the Chinese guns. Sex clip fitted to the sector gear, obviously, that can be any make. I'd stick with the plastic type because they're lighter. Switch assembly, I would stick with the same switch assembly as the manufacturer of the gearbox, and the same with the trigger, just because you'll get far less chance for any issues of mismatch of, you know, parts. So it's just easier. Anti-reversal latch, again, I tend to stick with SHS, cheap and very good quality. Wire I get wholesale from an electrical supplier, and I did intend to have it to show you, but I've forgotten. It's about £15 for 30 metre, and it is very low resistance, very small cross section wire, and it works fantastically well. I've been using it for years, and I've tried other wires as a comparison, and you gain nothing from using, you know, very, very expensive wires in comparison. You get no gain at all. So if I do any more clips, then I'll pass on the details of that. Time check, Henry. How are we doing for time?
5 minutes is just gone.
We're doing okay. Okay, MOSFET. You really need a MOSFET in a high-speed build.
I've got about 4 minutes.
Okay. Purpose of the MOSFET is to protect the contacts on the original trigger, and in the case of high-speed build particularly, is to stop the motor from overrunning. So that would mean on a single shot you'll tend to get 2 shots or even 3 shots, because the motor can't stop quick enough. The inertia of the spring and everything takes over, and you'll get it double or triple tapping. With a braked MOSFET, that will stop that entirely. The downside is the motor will wear out quicker, because you do get an arcing effect when the motor has the brake put on and applied. It is, you know, it's swings and roundabouts. If you want a very high performance, highly tuned gun, there is going to be, you know, a trade-off, and that basically is it in regards to motor. Talking of motor, I've been using for quite some time now the Ultimate range of motors with mainly very good results. I've had a couple that I've had issues with them, but apart from that I have fitted a lot of them, and the rest of them have been fine. So they're very, very fast, very good performance for not too much money.
Not long.
Hop units on an AK with a Lonex gearbox, I'd go with the Lonex hop unit. Now, I'm going to mention something about short stroking. This gun is short stroked, as most high speed setups are, I think. Now, generally, or nearly exclusively, people will tell you to remove the teeth from the front of the gear. So basically the teeth nearest the pickup lobe for the tappet plate. Now, I've been doing this for years, way before YouTube was ever around, and in the days when you could only get systemic gears at £60 a set, you know, and I did experiments, and I did start, for whatever reason, removing the teeth from the front, and what I found was it was fine on a single shot, but as you went to auto, the FPS dropped off, and you could see that in the reduced range of the BBs. You could clearly see it. Now, through a process of experimenting, I took the teeth off the back, and that didn't happen. Despite what everybody will tell you, it doesn't affect the feeding. If you have a feeding issue, it won't be because you've taken the teeth off the back of this gear. Now, if I need to take more than 3 teeth off, which is what I normally take off the back, I would take the 4th one off the front just to balance it out slightly. But other than that, I always have taken the teeth off the back. And as an anecdotal sort of thing, recently a full-time engineer, okay Henry, thank you, full-time engineer contacted me regarding the spec of my high-speed setups, and we had quite an in-depth conversation of, you know, the parts I use and the setup that I use, and he went away and did everything we thought we'd spoken about, and he came back and went, it's really weird, it's working okay, but on auto the range drops off, and I put it through the chrono and the FPS drops off. I said straight away, I said, which side of the gear did you take it off? Front, same as everybody says. And yeah, we're okay for time, yeah. And sure enough, he took another gear, took the teeth off the back, put it all back together, it was fine. So why everybody's saying take it off the front, I don't know, but it definitely doesn't work for me. I have revisited it fairly recently and tried it again, and it still didn't work. Just because you read so much about, oh no, you take them off the front, you know, I was convinced that, well, it must work. Well, it doesn't. So I'm sure I'm going to get slated on comments for that, but do you know what? I don't care. I'm trying to help out here. No, it's fine, Henry. So the last piece, really, I guess, is some of the add-ons, some of the externals on this. We've got a Magwell flange there. Krebs custom one, helps you to index the mags, do a magazine change quicker. What else have we got? We've got an ambidextrous magazine release, and the magazines I would recommend you using on a high-speed setup are mid caps. Okay, we've got a few minutes. Wait till it gets to about there, and then we'll be about ready. Okay. These ones are the Bulgarian type, made by SEMA, cheap, 120 rounds ish, feed perfectly up to 35 odd rounds a second, which incidentally is what this gun's doing. So we'll quickly connect it.
Disconnect it.
I'll put a battery on it. Let's see, I'm not sure how much charge is in this, but we'll try it. Not fully charged. Can you pass that battery off there for me, Henry? It's a big one. Let's try that. That may have a bit more use.
I need to cover my ears.
You cover your ears. There you go. So, not sure whether I mentioned the MOSFETs. Well done, Henry. I use almost exclusively the gate MOSFETs. That's the MERV 3.2. Don't tend to use those in AK builds, not necessary. Don't need any of the features on those. On this, it runs with a nano brakes one. They're pretty small, you can get them in the gas tube if you modify the gas tube a little bit. They are, at the moment, Gate working on drop-in MOSFET, which will go inside the gearbox with all sorts of clever stuff on it, contactless switches and magnetic switches and stuff like that. So we'll wait to see what that turns out to be like. Hopefully better than the ASCU, which are awful in my opinion.
Next time.
So yeah, I hope this has been helpful to somebody. If it helps anybody, I guess it's worth doing. So we're both going to sign off now, aren't we, Henry? And like I say, if this turns out okay, maybe we'll see you again with something else. And until then, enjoy. Cheers.